Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I have Neural Coffee in hand and it is perfect. Okay. Very busy day. Big clinic day today. So we got to dive right into the Q&A. I've had a couple people with some similar questions, but I picked one out from Eli as the winner, so to speak, for today's Q&A. Eli states, he says, I'm having a bit of a shoulder issue. When I press overhead, either with a dumbbell, barbell, or kettlebell, I get a pinching in my shoulder. But when I reach overhead, I don't seem to get it at all. Is there something that I can do for this? Yes, I think so. So here's one of the cool things about this question. We have to distinguish between a reach overhead and a press overhead. So even though they appear to occur in the same space, the mechanics of getting there are going to be different, which is why I think that you're feeling different things. So with your reach overhead, you appear to have enough external rotation in the shoulder to finish the reach, which means that you've got expansion on the back side of the upper back as you're reaching overhead. When you press overhead, this strategy is different. So anytime we produce force, we're going to use a compressive, exhalation-based, internally rotated based strategy. And so if you're feeling the pain with the press overhead, chances are you're not able to capture that end position, whereas when you just reach overhead, you do capture the position fairly well, okay? Because the space that needs to open for the reach overhead is where you actually have to create compression when you press overhead. So as you overhead press, and you'll see this on any number of people, you can do is observe it in the gym. If they do a one-arm press at a time, they tend to move away from the implement, and they keep their palm facing forward, and they actually turn their body away, or they lean away, or they perform some strategy that allows them to get that position overhead, because they have to capture the internal rotation, because again, it's an exhalation-based, internally rotation-based propulsive strategy against load. When I just reach, I just expand, and I get my arm up overhead. So, most likely, Eli, here's what you're going to need to do. You're going to actually have to develop some anterior expansion that's going to allow you to finish your presses overhead in the internally rotated position without too much compression. So here's what you're going to do. If you look back at a couple of my videos, I've got a series of arm bars and such that we can start with using kettlebells in the gym, so we don't have to do anything unusual here. You can actually build this into your training. So start with the supine arm bar. I just did one for a bench press lockout, and you're going to use that strategy to recapture some internal rotation at the shoulder. So it's going to be an exhalation-based strategy as you internally rotate the kettlebell. So you're doing a supine screwdriver where you're going to turn inward and exhale. Then you turn that into the rolling version of the arm bar. So you're going to roll away from the kettlebell. And again, do the screwdriver with the internal rotation, external rotation, exhaling on the internal rotation to start to develop the pump handle action. Okay? Now, that's not an overhead position of the arm. So now we're going to take a standing activity. So we're going to use a kettlebell windmill to actually help you recapture the overhead position. But here's what I need you to be able to do. The kettlebell windmill is going to move you from an externally rotated to an internally rotated position overhead because of the load in your hands. But I need you to respect the end range. Don't force the end range. It will come over time and with repetition. But using that sequence of building you from sort of the ground up to recapture this expansive position on the front side of the rib cage, so getting your sternum to move when you breathe, right, and timing your sequences appropriately, you're going to develop the ability to inhale and exhale anteriorly, which will support your press overhead and allow you to maintain the range of motion that you're going to need to avoid the impingement at the top. So let's back up a little bit and review a little bit. So shoulder flexion, just reaching overhead requires that you have external rotation of the shoulder to finish true shoulder flexion. That's a posterior expansion, that's dorsal rostral expansion. A press is a compressive strategy of that same area that requires internal rotation to finish at the top. One of the dead giveaways that you'll see, people that press with barbells, because you're fixed in pronation and it's going to drive the internal rotation proximally from hand to shoulder, you'll see them push their thorax forward as they finish the press overhead. So it's really common to see in the jerk portion of a clean and jerk, or for people that just press overhead in a standing position, you'll see them shift their entire body under the load. And what they're doing is they're pushing the thorax forward to compress the upper back so that the shoulders can internally rotate and finish the press. This is also one of the reasons why it's difficult for a lot of powerlifters to make transitions into strongman with the overhead pressing, because of the limitations in shoulder range of motion that are associated with a really, really big bench press. Make it very, very difficult to press directly overhead. So Eli, I hope that helps. Remember, it's going supine armbar, rolling armbar to kettlebell windmill. It's going to be your sequence as your gym fix for this shoulder thingy. I hope that helps. Everybody have a great Tuesday. I'll see you guys later.